If you want financial freedom, time freedom, and want to leave a legacy for generations to come, you probably have heard real estate investing is the place to do that. How do you get started? What do you have to do? When's the right time? If you are looking for those answers, you've come to the right place. My name is Kyle Stanley, and this is Fearless Flipping. My mission is to help you learn this business and conquer real estate investing. Welcome in. You are checking out Fearless Flipping here on either Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, maybe you're on our YouTube channel. No matter where you're at, do us a favor. If you haven't already, review it, comment, like, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, hit that notification bell so you get notified every single time we put out new content. That would really help us out a lot. And I'm excited for this second episode this week with Adam Abjian, who is just 20 years old, doesn't seem like it, doesn't act like it, doesn't look like it, but he's 20 years old. He's done 12 flips already in his young career, and that's just about a year and a half worth of work. And this guy, he is going to get us deep into his activities that he does every single day to make his business successful, and hopefully it helps you to get past maybe a fear that you have or a hang-up that you're not doing in your business. I think if you really sit down, I don't care if you're 16 years old or 60 years old, you can learn from Adam here. This 20-year-old is living proof that this business works if you just do the work, and if you are consistent with those daily activities, that can help you to push that fear aside. So let's get to it. Let's check out what Adam does on a daily basis in his business. Hey, if you missed the first episode with Adam Abjian earlier this week, you got to go check it out. 20 years old, killing it with the real estate game, and I'm already learning from this guy too. 12 deals in about 18 months. Pretty amazing, man. So I want to just really kind of in this interview find out from you, like, where did you start all the way to that evolution of where you're at today? Just so people can see that, I think you've been one to say it too, like, it's really tough to see that person who, like, recently we had Tim Bratz on the show, $260 million of real estate, and the person who's sitting there with $0 to be like, wait, I can't really relate to that person. Like, that's great that he's doing that, but that's a 1 in 260 million chance. But what you're doing, you're just active, you're doing it, you're out there, and you just recently started a year and a half ago. So why don't we just start from the beginning? What were the first things that you really started doing that you think everyone should do?
In terms of marketing, more so, I think my mentors were kind of like, hey, try out bandit signs, call some people, talk to some realtors, and they pretty much just, that was it. They didn't just let me go on my own, but they pretty much just said, this is what you might want to try. Why don't you start doing it? So I'm know a little bit about graphic design. I made some quick bandit signs. Started posting those up all over the place. I didn't know how to call people or like where to get their numbers. I figured out how to kind of go in and track their info, try and call them a little bit. I was sitting at my desk for hours just going through all these numbers. 90% of them, they're not even real numbers, or they're expired or whatever the term is, and so you just get a buzzer after 40 seconds of it ringing. So, I had a lot of wasted time doing that, but I was hanging up bandit signs, a few days a week as much as I could. And honestly, that and maybe, 100 pieces, 200 pieces of direct mail a month, and that was about it. And it was very, very basic. It wasn't anything specific. I wasn't switching up the marketing. I wasn't making these fancy flyers. It was just like, I found a foreclosure list and I mailed to it just like every other son of a gun in Fresno did. So
when you say you found a foreclosure list and you found these ways to call people, what were those sources? How did you find those?
So the list was from a site called Property Radar, and I also went on ListSource, and I think that's more nationwide. That's a good source as well. And then if you're really lean, you really can't spend any money, the county website or the recorder's office is a great place to find it as well. Those are all free, and you can get those on their website. And so, I was just doing that. I was buying the list. It was pretty cheap for $100-200. I think that's $10-20 max, and mailing them out at like 30 cents a postcard. And so that was almost like putting my foot in the water. Does it work? I don't know. And there's some months where I wouldn't want to pay it, and I would just not mail them out that month.
Got it.
And that inconsistency kind of, bit me in the butt because I didn't get any deals from it, and I stopped after about 4 months, which was really maybe 3 months because I skipped a month. And so the bandit signs, I was pretty religious about that. I'd go put that up all the time. I like driving around in my truck at night, just hanging up signs. And so my first couple deals all came off bandit signs.
Wow.
And that was kind of stressful because I was working at a coffee shop at the time. So any time I would get a phone call, I'd have to pick it up, and they're all random numbers. And so half the time I'd answer it, and it'd be someone looking to see if I had a place to rent. And then, every once in a while, someone would maybe be considering selling.
Okay.
And then, I think I got 3 within the first 6 months or so of, yes, I want to sell. Let's see what we can do.
Wow.
And so once you get that call, you can't not answer your phone.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I was running around trying to answer my phone. I mean, I wasn't getting 30 calls a day, obviously, but enough to where I was working and I would be, making coffee, trying to answer my phone at the same time while it was just a mess.
You ever drop your phone in the coffee?
No, thankfully I didn't. I was a beast at making espresso.
Oh, there you go.
But yeah, that's what I was doing for the most part in the beginning. Cold calls, I was doing those a little bit, but when you're hand dialing everyone, you get pretty unmotivated pretty quick.
Yeah.
So
that can be deflating, I'm sure.
And that's pretty when you don't have a strict plan of what you want to do. While it's measured out to this is my goal, I got to do this, and this for this month, and then I got to break it down by week and by day. It's difficult to follow. It's almost like having a diet where you're just kind of making it up yourself. You don't really know. There's no coach to show you where to go, so you might not give your full effort into that. And that's kind of how I felt.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, these bandit signs, the cold calling, it's bringing, and you're working the other job at the coffee shop. What does your follow-up system look like?
Oh, man. I think I had, went through 3 or 4 of those stacks of Post-it notes within a few months of just writing stuff down, and they would just be all over my desk, and I would go home, and I would just be scrambling, trying to pick them up, figure out who I had to call. I'd maybe come back 4 or 5 days later and find one and be like, oh, man, I was supposed to call that person. Probably lost a deal or 2 because of that. But yeah, it was not organized. I didn't have the money to spend on it. I didn't know what to spend it on. I was also very scared to spend the money. I was like, I haven't even gotten a deal yet. Does this work? I mean, there's these guys that are 30, 40, 50 years old doing it, but I mean, I'm 18.
Sure.
Like, am I supposed to get a deal anytime soon? Why should I invest in all this stuff? So I was very, very frazzled. That's a good that's a good word. Very frazzled at that time.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. So now, evolving to where you're at today, what's different today? Are you still doing these things? Is that follow-up system still Post-it notes? Like where are we at?
So right now I have a CRM, so I can really track all the details on a lead or on a particular person or property or anything that I'm doing, so I kind of know where it's at, what phase it's in. The CRM is great for, and that's for customer relationship management, by the way. Yeah. And so that's for with the leads that I get, I can just check on the house size, all the details, the last conversation we had, mark when to follow up with them, and it's all on like one website. Podio, awesome. By the way, the website that I use. And so that's made it so much easier for me to keep in contact with people and actually have good relationships with them because I know their situation, I know what they're going through, and I can follow up with the intent to help them to make sure I solve that. Not, hey, checking up on your house, how's your house doing? Sure. Checking up on them, seeing how they're doing.
Absolutely.
But for marketing, I'm still staying pretty lean. I'm trying to stick with the basics because I've realized that's what's worked for me. And I want to go do all this fancy stuff that everyone's doing nowadays, but I could jump to a new marketing tactic every 2 months or something and get nowhere with it.
Yep.
So I'm doing a lot of bandit signs still. I'm working, I've done it a little bit, but I'm working on trying to completely outsource it to have someone do.
Absolutely.
Could be a little tricky, but I'm going to solve it in the next month or so. Start getting that rolled out. I'd like to do a little bit more direct mail when I get some more money to start really pouring into that. But to test it at the level I want to, it's difficult.
Sure.
And I want to be able to have a bigger budget for that.
Absolutely.
And then a lot of cold calls too. And I'm not picking up my phone, typing in every single person now.
Yeah.
I have a system that calls for me.
Oh, good.
Even to the degree where if they don't pick up, they get a voicemail, they get a text personalized to them that I don't even have to think about. It
Oh,
sends it
nice.
automatically.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And what's that system called?
That's called Call Tools.
Call Tools. I'm gonna have to look into that.
Yeah,
awesome.
that's a great thing to use if, I can make probably 100 calls in an hour versus making
Wow.
10 calls in an hour.
Yeah.
So and
Typing
multitask
and-
too.
yeah.
I can do two things at once. Well, that's calling people. So that's a great thing to use, and that's helped me a lot to be able to get out a higher volume of calls in a shorter amount of time. And so I'm essentially doing a lot of the same stuff because I'm not a huge investor right now. I'm still pretty, like I said, I'm still pretty lean in terms of like my overhead. And so in that, I'm just utilizing the same things I did in the beginning, just trying to make it smarter and more efficient and more effective.
Cool.
And it took me a while, but it's proved to save me a lot of time.
Hey, Fearless Flipping community, we are taking a quick break from the podcast to talk about Airbnb. For those of you that don't know, I have built much of my residual income around Airbnb, despite a lot of other investors being really excited about long-term renters. I was not. I saw an opportunity with Airbnb to get to my goals faster, to get more cash flow, and to pay off my houses quicker too. So instead of being really happy like a lot of other investors are with $200 to $300 of cash flow every single month, I've turned my renters and rentals into over $1,000 on average of cash flow every single month. So if you want to learn more about Airbnb, my systems, where I pick my Airbnbs, how I communicate with guests. Maybe you've already got Airbnb as a business on the side right now, but you want to take it to the next level. I am absolutely here to help you. You can book a free consultation with me about Airbnb. Learn more by booking at fearlessflipping.com/consultation, and you get me for 30 minutes for free. That's right, 30 minutes absolutely free. And that's once again fearlessflipping.com/consultation, and I'm looking forward to helping you conquer Airbnb investing.
Yeah, well, and you've also had the mentors along the way, which is great, but
Yeah.
at the same time, you have to find systems for yourself and
They don't
your
market.
personality.
They do no marketing. They're that good.
Wow.
So that was one thing they know how to market, but that was one thing that was more up to myself is figure out, and it's my money. So you figure out how to kind of get that rolling.
You've said this a few times, and just for the people that didn't watch our first episode, you didn't go to college. You went to YouTube University. You figured this all out essentially on your own through the help of resources and being resourceful. This is a business of just doing just that, isn't it?
Oh yeah, 100%. I was thinking about this earlier. Essentially, you're just a big problem solver. Things are going to come your way every single day. Whether you know it or not, you're solving problems. Every single situation, you're solving a problem. And so whether it's through marketing, negotiation, doing the rehab, anything, you're just getting through different obstacles. And so if you're able to not be, if you don't get real stressed out and you're able to keep your cool through those obstacles, it's really not that difficult because you're like, oh, here's another one. How are we going to get past it? Not, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? This is the end. But just simply find a way to get past it and know, my faith obviously ties into that. I have a strong faith in God. And so in that, I'm able to kind of, know that God's working through me and he has an ultimate plan, but also ties into business. I'm not really worried about the end outcome because I know that I'm going to be able to get past this obstacle. It just might not be right now when I want it.
Absolutely. That's good, man. That's good. Going back to the bandit signs, you said that you're still kind of hanging them up yourself. The one thing about bandit signs is like, how do you even know if they're still there? Because they could be taken down 2 minutes after you leave.
Oh,
so do you go on the same route? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, so I started tracking it a little bit, mostly just manually. But a lot of them get taken down the next day because I put some near the flips I'm doing. I'll come by the next day and I put them up at 9 o'clock and I'm there at 8 a.m. the next morning or 9 a.m.
It's gone.
They're gone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, unless some homeless dude is really adamant about taking down all my signs, I don't know where they go. Other investors, I don't know what happens. I really don't even know if they're legal. But I think it's still a good thing to put up. And I've been driving through town, and there's some that have been up for about 6 months.
Yeah.
Actually, I saw 2 of them today by Kearney that were still up. So I know that they still work, but that's something where you have to consistently go out and put them up. And I'm okay with that.
So you're putting together these systems. Are you putting together the systems to make your job easier or to make it easier for someone to eventually be doing that job?
I'm trying to make my job easier. I'm trying to maximize my time. So the stuff that really, because this isn't hard stuff.
Yeah.
Putting up bandit signs, anyone can do that.
Yep.
So if I'm able to outsource that, I can use my time better, find a better use for my time, maybe building more relationships. I could go meet with more realtors and talk to them about what I'm doing and how to work with me and what I want to accomplish and how we can make money for each other. Obviously, I'm not going to go meet them at 9 o'clock at night, but you get what I'm saying. I'm trying to, you know, if I was cold calling 100 people a day off my phone, I'd be there for 10 hours. But I found a system to do it a lot more efficiently, so I have more free time to be able to pursue other things.
Absolutely.
So probably making it more easier for myself so I can try and scale what I'm doing.
That's awesome. So what is that next step for your business?
Next step is obviously to continue to do a much higher volume in what I'm doing, but I'd really like to get into more multifamily. That's one thing that I'm very passionate about, and you know, in terms of passive income, and that excites me. Those are big deals. Those are real fun.
Yeah.
I mentioned, I think on the first one, I'm a Grant Cardone fan, and he really got me into real estate, and so I'm stuck in his mindset a little bit, but I really do like the big multifamily units. But my real goal is to help a lot of people, because I love helping people. That's just fun.
That's awesome.
That's real fun. And B would be just to try and obviously scale what I'm doing right now to just a higher level. And I think I'll add that on, is just to connect with a lot more people and network and build the relationships that I already have, and then build some new ones, because you'll be amazed at how many people you meet where you're not even maybe in that field, but you could help them and maybe do this or that, and you got a partnership. Or you connect one guy with your money source, and boom, you got a bunch of equity in this huge deal that he's doing. You know, there's different things that you can do just by talking with people, and I think that's so interesting to me, because you never know what one conversation is going to lead to.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You and I have a lot in common in the fact that we both were introduced to real estate really through Grant Cardone, which, like, you know, if you get in his mindset of the multifamily, the first thing you'll realize once you say, wow, I got to go buy a 32-unit apartment, the next thing you'll say is, wow, I can't afford a 32-unit apartment.
Yeah.
Like,
that's where everybody stops, right there.
Right there. And you and a lot of people and myself, we just kept on researching. You kept on researching. You figured out that in order to get there, it's this active side of the business of flipping and wholesaling. Am I right?
Yeah. And I think too, one thing that he's always said is commit first and figure out the rest later.
Exactly.
And that's actually funny, because I noticed myself saying that a lot. Everybody always, my family, how are you gonna do? I'll figure it out. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
How are you gonna? I'll figure it out. And so I think that's really how I approach a lot of these. I haven't done a ton, or really even looked at that many, but with these multifamily ones, like when I'm trying to, like I was telling you, the 32-unit one I'm trying to look at, I can't buy that.
Yeah.
But I'm talking to the guy like, I'm gonna buy it, and you're gonna be damn sure I'm gonna close on it.
Yeah.
But I don't know who's gonna buy it. I don't know where I'm gonna get the money, but I know when I get it at the right price, I'm gonna bring it to someone, and they're gonna want to buy it, and we're gonna have a little partnership going.
Exactly.
And so that type of stuff, that leverage really entices me, because someone my age that can go do that, like you don't think that that's possible unless you're 20 years old with $2 million in the bank. But you know, I'm 20 years old with a lot less in the bank and could still get that accomplished.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that entices me and keeps me going, is there's so many different levels to what you could be doing in real estate.
Absolutely. So if someone wants to commit right now, they've already committed, they say, I want to start in real estate, what's the next thing they should commit to and then figure out last?
If they've committed to real estate, I would say first, I've got to find a mentor. I still think that's the most important, because A, they'll hold you accountable, and B, you're going to have a lot of questions. And I think that, you can find a lot on YouTube and just Googling stuff. A lot of people don't utilize Google as much as they should. But there's a lot of detailed stuff that you're going to need a mentor for, and they're going to be able to help you with, whether it's answers to questions or the connections they have that could get stuff done. That's my number one. Number two would be a plan and a goal. You have to have a goal, but the thing that I think people don't really work on with goals or don't understand is you got to have a goal, but you need to have a time limit attached to it. It needs to have a specific end date, and you need to have a numerical amount attached to it. Not, I want to make a lot of money this year. I want to make $1 million by December 31st.
Yep.
At freaking midnight.
Absolutely.
Like, it needs to be detailed, and then reverse engineer that plan so each month you know what you have to do to get there, and then break each month down by week and each week by day.
Boom.
So every day you should have a plan on, this is what I got to do numerically. You know, like, I have to make 60 calls today. If I do that every single day, I should, by theory, have made enough calls to get a contract and get one deal this month. If your goal is 12, there you go.
That's awesome.
So that's one thing I think that it took me a long time to learn that. Very, very long time. But once you can really structure your goals and know how to line them up to where you're holding yourself accountable, because you're on your own.
Absolutely.
You don't have anybody else. You don't have a boss. And so if you can hold yourself accountable to those goals and know what you need to be doing, I think that is where a lot of people kind of fall off track. Just because, you get into real estate and you're like, okay, I want to flip a house at some point. There's no date. There's no end time. You could make calls today. You could do it next week. It doesn't matter, So I think that's one thing, is you really have to be disciplined and know what you're doing, and have that goal set in mind.
So good. Get a mentor, make that plan, get a goal. I think the one thing that I found was I had mentors in the beginning because I went through this education system of fortune builders, but the true mentor that really helped was the local mentors, because they know the zip codes, they know the neighborhoods, they know the right people to go to for contractors.
Yeah.
Those, am I right?
That's right.
Local would be.
If you can't text them, and if you can't text them, then I don't think it's really a mentor. It's more just a guru or a father figure, something like that. So the mentor you got to be able to contact. And you can't find someone, if you're making, 50 grand a year, don't find someone that's making 50 million.
Yep.
Because their game plan and their daily schedule is completely different than
Exactly.
yours. So go find someone that's making 500 grand a year and figure out how they got from 50 to 500. Then when you're at 500, find someone that's making 5 million and scale to that. So, because the guy with 50 million doesn't care about what you have to say. It doesn't really want to help you unless you're his son or something.
Absolutely.
So that's another thing too that I've realized.
Good, man. Well, hey, this has been awesome. How can people get in contact with you?
Reach out to me just on Instagram. It's at Adam Abjian, Abajian. That's how you spell it. Beautiful Armenian last name. Yeah. So that's mostly my main source of social media. I'd love if people reached out to me on there. I'd love talking to everyone and meeting new people.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Hey, you have helped all of our viewers to conquer real estate investing today. Thank you so much, Adam.
Awesome. Glad to be here.
Hey, I hope that helped you to know exactly what you can be doing, or maybe just validation that you are doing the right things in your business on a daily basis. Adam has been doing that for a year and a half. It's yielded him 12 deals. He's killing it. The kid is doing big things here in the Fresno, California area, and you too can do the same thing. You can conquer real estate investing if you just follow those steps and those daily activities that Adam is doing. If you need a recap, go to our show notes, fearlessflipping.com/Adam, and make sure you are liking, subscribing, and reviewing, doing everything, sharing, put it on social media, do whatever you can to get our word out about Fearless Flipping so that we can impact and reach more people to help them conquer real estate investing as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.